begin with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you to everybody for joining us on this special meeting for Marion County Commission, March 7th. The topic today is the Health Department structure. I believe we have Cody Nelson online. Cody, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, very good, loud and clear. And Chris, how about you?
Yep, I can hear you guys just fine too.
All right, I think we have all the parties. And Jonah, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, good. We've got everybody. Kobe, are you able to join us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, well, great. We got everybody. Tina, how would you like to start?
Well, I think the first thing would be to go through the proposal that was
Okay.
submitted.
All right.
So I believe Cody, you'd have Cody lead you through that.
Yes, Cody, if you'd want to walk us through the proposal, let's start at that point.
Okay. So you guys have a copy of my GMP estimate, right?
Yes.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Sorry, just a second. We're going to hold, Cody, you got it?
I can also present and show it from my end as well.
Read that for you.
Okay. Do you have them now? Are we good? Okay, we're good to go. Sorry about that.
Okay, do you want to make?
No problem.
Did you want to make?
Um,
Cody, did you want to be the presenter right now, or do you want?
I don't have to be unless you guys would like to me. I've got obviously the same information you do.
Okay, very good.
So I basically just, I think it's pretty explanatory what all we've gotten here. I've given you a line item price for what I feel is a necessary budget for each part of the project. Some of these costs are still budgetary. Some of them I have actual hard costs on them at the moment based off of the drawings that we do have. I would say we have 75% of these prices that you see in here are actual hard numbers that I've went ahead and quoted a lot of this. When we get to the 100% set of drawings, we will of course solicit at least 3 bids for each trade and then review that at that time. Do you guys want to go down through line by line, or do you guys just want to ask questions? I think it's pretty cut and dry what we're working with here. I feel like the only real thing that I want to point out, the biggest difference from my original budget to where we are right now is the electrical came in a lot higher than what we anticipated. That's what's really pushing the cost of the project over more than anything else. And then the facade is the exterior, the front part of the building is pretty pricey as well. That's where my recommendations would be to spend most of your VE options is potentially that's the easiest on the front of the building. I do have a couple of 2 or 3 more VE ideas that are pretty extreme. I don't think they're kind of a last resort, but I feel like I've put together a pretty good shopping list on that last page of some different options on what I think we could potentially save. Really what we need to know is, how far do we need to cut this and what what areas do you want to look at the most as far as savings?
Yeah, Cody, I think
Hey,
you're,
Cody,
oh, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I was just gonna see if you could expand a little bit on the electrical cost.
So I have a rough breakdown of what that is. Bear with me 1 second and I'll pull that up. So there's some items that we really didn't initially have budgeted as part of the electrical costs, which isn't really the big part of what's putting us over. But there's the light package is approximately $30,000 of that cost. That's why I've got pretty significant. I think we could save anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 on the light fixture package. We already have a alternate lighting package option quoted, as well as the fire alarm is it's about $22,000 of the electrical. Voice and data is about 14,000, and access controls is $2,000 to $3,000. The gear is about $12,000. The generator is approximately $30,000, and then the remainder is just labor and the rest of the materials there. So that kind of gives you a little bit more of a breakdown as far as electrical is concerned.
What was between access and generator about I can't remember what the dollars was. You said something else. I didn't catch it.
So between voice and data and access control were approximately $16,000. And then the generator is about $30,000, which the generator is costing about what we anticipated it to.
Yeah.
But we can scale that. I've obviously got that as a VE option, and I think we can cut about $15,000 out of the generator. If we knock that back to a 24 kW, we would of course have to rework some circuitry, and it's not going to power the entire facility. You're going to have limited circuits that you'll be able to put on that generator.
Cody, what generator do you have quoted for this one? I know at our last conversation here, we had talked about 96K.
I'm not sure if it's the 96, but it's the size that's going to power the entire facility.
I think that PEC had reduced that down to 80K, if I remember right.
Right, I believe that's where we are. I don't believe we have the 96. Whatever is detailed, I apologize. I don't know exactly what size that generator is at the moment.
I think we talked about a 48 and a 96.
48's one I remember. Yeah.
That was the original. And then at the last meeting, they had
Talked about
they
96.
said that
Okay, that's where I
the
missed it.
48 would
Oh, yeah.
power the building.
And if
Right, so if we go up to that, you're talking even more dollars. So
And if we go with the smaller one, we'll have more. And
yeah,
fuse boxes.
if we drop down to a 24 kW, that'll save approximately 15,000.
Cody, I have a question. This is Tina. So
Yes.
on your value engineering, like for the generator and for some of the other options that you put, like have you netted those out to where, so
They are rough. They are very rough.
you don't know for sure if you take this off, what the
Right.
additional
I
cost
have
would be to
been-
change it?
Well, I've been conservative, so I feel like there is potentially more there. But in the short, I put this together, these VE options in about 2 days.
Right, but do you
So-
understand my question? Is the VE option netted basically for the whole change, not just the part that we'd be saving, but also the spend that we would be to change it? Is that netted out in there?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
so as well, that's why I put all the line items at the bottom so that you can get a rough idea by the time that we pull those out. That includes the sub bonds and the contingency and the 2% fee and the 1.25 in GC bonds. One thing to keep in mind there on the 2 masonry options, you need to take one or the other. That shouldn't be combined.
Explain the masonry one. Of course, remove all masonry. I'm assuming that means going back to just like a panel, a metal panel, and then a synthetic, that's like an optional.
Right. So what would happen on the masonry is we would eliminate the metal stud framing and sheathing and masonry, and it would go back to just a regular standard wall panel.
And then what's the synthetic masonry?
The synthetic is it's basically a fake stone that looks like stone.
Okay.
It'll actually apply the way that we would direct apply that to the wall panel. So we would eliminate the framing and the sheathing, and it would go directly on the face of the wall panel. So in the case of the synthetic masonry, it would also scale back to installing a wall panel behind that synthetic masonry finish, which is part of the cost savings.
Cody, I've got a couple questions. The countertop door that's in there, which part are
Yes.
you referring to on that?
So just the door, the actual door that's in the opening. And you leave that an opening, so we could
Between the restroom and the
remove that
lobby?
door from that area and just leave it as an opening, so you'd be able to see into the kitchen.
Oh, you're talking about the kitchen
The rolling,
window.
the rolling
Gotcha.
counter, yeah, the rolling counter
Okay.
door. Coiling countertop door.
And my other
however you
question
wanna
was
refer
on
to it.
the flooring finishes. I didn't
Uh-huh.
know, I thought the ones that we had picked out before were kind of the value ones already.
Yeah,
They were
so
like a vinyl.
I'm being told I did get a flooring quote, and some of those subcontractors have indicated to me that we could save potentially about that much more by going to lesser expensive materials and brands.
Okay,
There's a couple of those guys are still working on exactly what that is. But we put together just a rough estimate based on their thoughts and ideas. Like I said, I don't have, a lot of these are very conservative and roughly put together. And I don't have hard quotes on these VE options just yet.
Cody, the number you've got listed there, remove the site fence, is that per our temporary facilities spec where it says to put a construction fence around the site? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, so that is a temporary construction fence, correct?
So how would you maintain site safety without a fence?
We can use, so we have, at our shop, we have a lot of snow fence that we use from a safety standpoint. It's not anything that's, it's not going to keep things secure, but from a safety standpoint, we can barricade things off a lot more cost effectively that way. So if we need to close off sidewalks, or we need to enclose an area where the public, we don't want the public walking across the sidewalks while we're pouring concrete or going in and out of the site with dirt work activities or concrete activities or stuff like that. We can use that at no cost to you guys, just from a safety standpoint. But if you're wanting to see an actual hard chain link fence with gates that we can secure the site, that would be the cost of what I'm indicating there. We've already got the safety barricades and the orange snow fence included in our costs. And so that's why this would be a savings if you wanted to forego the actual temporary chain link fence that's more permanent and secure. I don't really feel like that fence is necessary. We've done a lot of projects in town here where I don't feel, site fence, I don't feel like is necessary, but that's not my call to make.
Yeah, that site fence, I mean, from experience, is pretty cumbersome, and usually it's only reliant on the last trade to leave the site, and most of the time, they never shut the gates.
Right. Right. I really feel like it's an unnecessary expense.
Okay, the second highest option at $40,000 was remove metal panel, install standard wall panel flashing trim. Could you explain that for me?
Right. So I know this is not going to be a favorite of Chris's because it messes with his look and his design, but there's a significant amount of money involved with the ACM panels and the metal wall panels that would trim out the awning and the columns and kind of that facade, and we can scale that awning back to where it's just it'll have a standard screw down roof with standard sheet metal flashing trim and soffits. Is basically what happens. It eliminates all of the fancier ACM panels and metal panels on that awning. We've got a lot of dollars wrapped up in that awning.
So
You're saying it would go to a metal roof?
Yes.
How would that drain?
So what we would do is, depending on whether the masonry gets eliminated or we go with a metal wall panel there, that awning would be, we would slope that back towards the building at about a half-inch per foot slope. We'd put a screw down metal roof on that, and then we would put a valley gutter in between the building and this awning, and we would have downspouts that we would still have to maintain the storm drainage, and they would go straight into a rain leader that would kick it back out to the parking lot. So you would have a downspout down the face of the building there on either side. I would anticipate one at each end of the awning to get the water, down and out. And then we would flash into that valley gutter from the structure, whether it's masonry or metal wall panels.
So what kind of enclosure would there be around the structure on the sides and the bottom of the structure?
It would be standard sheet metal fascia and soffit panels fabricated by the metal building supplier. You'd probably have a shallower, the depth of that awning wouldn't be nearly as deep as what you indicate. We'd probably be somewhere around 8 to 16 inches deep. I don't know. We haven't worked out, we haven't got far enough into the details with the metal building suppliers. It's just been discussion at this point of what we think we could do, but somewhere from 8 to 16 inches. It all depends on how that comes together there. I'm not quite sure yet.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't think that bothers me too much as far as changing from ACM panels. You and I had already discussed. I think that's not an issue.
Right, so we're eliminating the framing around the column, so you would have an exposed, it would just be a steel column exposed. So we wouldn't have any framing or ACM or metal panels around those columns. We would of course paint them to match the color of the soffit or the awning or whatever there. But you wouldn't have any ACM panels around those columns. You wouldn't have any sheet metal around those columns. They would just be exposed steel. And then of course we would put a standard sheet metal soffit on the bottom of that awning, and then the fascia and everything would be a standard sheet metal fascia. And that would all be there would be really no metal stud framing required. It would all be put together with pre-engineered metal building components. So that's a big chunk of the cost savings, as well as that we wouldn't have to have any metal stud framing to make that happen either.
Sounds like something you might find in an industrial plant or
Yeah.
something.
Yes, sir. I think that it would have more of an industrial look. And I can provide some potential projects that might have something similar if you guys are wanting to get a look at what this could look like. We've got several projects.
I thought you were just changing the panels out to different types of panels, but no, you're eliminating a lot of panels, and
Right.
it would be quite a bit different look.
Yeah, it would be a different look, and that's why I made the comment. I don't think you'll be happy with me, because it does change your look, but there is a lot of dollars wrapped up with that awning at the moment.
Something else to consider on that, we presented a specific kind of a proposed look to the city when we got our permit, and that's kind of what we've been putting out there. So it would be a cost savings, but you would have to consider, are you willing to put up more of a pole barn looking building,
And I think the other thing too is Marion Advancement Campaign stipulation on us getting that is they did not want it to have a metal look building for the
I
exterior.
have to look at that agreement, but
I don't think
basically
they
they'd say
might.
it has to be used for a health department.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's just
But-
useless.
But with, just consider what we're putting up and how long it's gonna be there and what we wanna put forward, so.
We are overbuilding for the neighborhood, but maybe the neighborhood will catch up with us.
I mean, that's for you all to decide whether it's worth the money or not on that.
Well, if you'd still retain the synthetic masonry, what I'm understanding, most of the removing the metal panel and swapping the ACM panels is mainly dealing with the awning. Is that right? Or is that the whole?
Correct.
structure?
Right, there are some panels involved with the wall panels, where the wood look wall panels are.
Yes.
That's not as much of the cost as the ACM panels and the metal panels that would be involved with the awning.
I guess, and I'm just speaking from my mind, if you maintain the synthetic masonry, still have some of the design, but if you're just talking about exposing the pillars,
Correct.
I mean, how much money do you spend to wrap the pillars? Is that a value for the company?
I don't have a dollar figure on that, but you know, there's metal studs that go around that with a sheeting and then a metal panel that goes on top of that. So, um, you're probably talking $1,000 to $2,000 a column.
Lots of labor.
That have the metal panels on them.
Back on the stone with the synthetic masonry, as you described it, Cody, where you would eliminate the stud backup and attach it directly to the metal panels. I have a concern about that just because those metal panels have a pretty decent amount of flex to them, and attaching a masonry to a metal panel that's gonna flex seems like a mistake to have the masonry.
So I can provide several projects where, not necessarily I have done that, but some of my metal building suppliers have quite a few projects. That's where the idea came from, and that's how they've done it on several other projects. I do have the proposed material. If you guys want me to share that with you, I've got the website pulled up, and you could take a look at it we could take a look at it real quick just to see what it looks like. There's lots of options.
Let's do that, because that's probably going to be one of the biggest appearance factors, and it's a significant dollar factor.
Right. Yeah, if you can turn controls over to me, I'll show you. Are you guys able to see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this is kind of some of the looks that they can provide. If we go to products, I think this Tuscany, well, you can see this screen right here. There's multiple different looks. We can do a brick look. We can do wood look. There's just a lot of different options. This is an example of how they would wrap columns. They just have a lot of products and different looks, and it looks very realistic. And I can get I think there's a couple projects in Wichita that they've done this on that we could go do an actual site tour as well.
Yeah, and I've used the synthetic stone on projects before, and yeah, it does look good. My bigger concern is just the backup. I would want it on.
Right, and so like I said, there's a cost savings in the fact that we apply this directly over the wall panel, and as well these panels, the way that this comes, it has its own vapor barrier embedded in the panels itself. So that's why another reason why we can directly apply that to a wall panel. And like I said, we can provide some more support to kind of show those details of how it comes together and how they've done it on other locations. But myself and my conversations that I've had with the metal building supplier that proposed this option, there's no concerns from our end of applying this to the metal panels.
Just in case some of the commission doesn't know, what we have in the drawings currently is a full bed depth actual masonry limestone product on a metal stud backup. And this synthetic stone, these are, they're made out of a concrete / polymer mix. And the finish is painted on the surface, basically. And then they're usually maybe an inch thick, and they're glued to the wall. So it's, yeah, lick and stick is kind of the term used for the,
Yeah.
a lot more.
So this is kind of what it would look like. They come in panels like this, and they kind of fit together like a puzzle.
Oh, it's not individual stones, it's panels.
No, it's actual panels.
How thick is that? Maybe it's not, I don't think I have used a panel piece before.
So this is kind of the specs
Okay.
on it. I will download this and pass this on to you guys. This is a PDF, so and as well as share the link to the site.
Yeah, see, another downside to these false fake stone panels is that you can't cut them because of the material. I mean, if you cut them, you have an exposed, concrete polymer edge there. So they provide these trim pieces. So you have to actually trim it out with trim pieces, which is totally not true to a stone. It kind of gives it away for sure as a faux stone when you have trim pieces around it.
Right, I think the trim pieces would be pretty concealed around the back corner of the taller wall that we would be applying this to. So
Well, every window and door opening through this, if it doesn't fit right on the panel edge, is going to have trim around it at the corners. So you basically have trim around all the openings.
Yep, we would have it. We would have it there. But that's basically the product that I would be value engineering with.
So the other product that I was describing that I have used before is individual faux stones that is a little bit more flexible. You don't have the trim pieces with that. They're still, the inch and a half thick that sticks to the wall. But you can make up the corners without using trim pieces. And they're probably, I'm guessing, in the same price range as these panel systems. But it's individual stone pieces put on, and they're pre-made stones, but you can cut the stones to fit your space, but you're going to cut the inside piece, the inside edge of a stone, so that your outside edge is a finished surface.
Yeah, so
That's gonna pick up your labor costs, though.
right. That's where a big part of the savings is on these, is the fact that we don't have to individually lay them. But I'd want to dig into more of this. Like if you look at this picture with the windows here, there is no trim pieces on this.
This material been on the market long enough to have any history about durability or anything?
Yes, I haven't researched that as thoroughly as the application, but I can get that information.
Looks to me like they might have used the window frame itself as the trim piece in that picture you're showing.
Mm-hmm.
Any other specific questions? If not, I'm going to move it back up to a little higher level discussion on the numbers. I think our target was 1.5. That's what we agreed. And I think from commission perspective, going over that amount, we're probably not going to have a consensus to move forward at a higher than 1.5. So I'm going to turn it back to Cody and Chris, looking at the valued engineering options to come up with that difference. Which ones would you recommend to reach those savings? To bring us down to the 1.5.
You turn it back to Cody.
Yep, and then we'll come back to commission.
Okay.
Yeah, so my opinion is to get the most significant cost savings is, obviously on the front of that building, either removing all the masonry or scaling it back to a synthetic masonry, or, even scaling that back to just a simple wainscot on the masonry, as well as all of the metal panels. And the, another easy one is eliminating the vestibule storefront, as well as I think another good option is looking at a different window brand and type. I think it's more of a residential type window, but it's still a very good window. I've got some options on like a Pella brand window. There's a bunch of money in the aluminum windows in the storefront. I think that we could save as well. I think we can easily get, $100,000 to $150,000 out of the job just on those pieces alone, with a few other random small pieces in there. Really, it's up to you guys on how far you want to take the dollars. Obviously, the most significant items are on the face of the building, but I think you're going to have to dig a little bit deeper to get all the way down to that 1.5 million mark. So, maybe some of these interior items like the flooring and the light fixtures. I think another really easy one is going to a standard water heater. Evidently that the water heater that is specified at the moment is an $8,000 water heater. We could go down to a standard water heater that's $2,000. Same thing with the generator. It's honestly up to you guys as to what you're willing to give up on the project to get to the 1.5 million.
I think what I would recommend is if we're charged by the commission to get to 1.5 million, it would be helpful if we could have a meeting with Krista and Randy and Dave, Cody and my engineers and myself. We could have a live spreadsheet where we can kind of start picking numbers and prioritizing and come up with the value engineering options that we want to include, and we can see kind of a live tally of the cost as we pick items. Probably not something we need to do here in front of the whole commission, but maybe our smaller group.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Randy?
Yeah. Go ahead. I have some questions on through the other things here that I want to ask Cody, or give the commission what we did and what we charged you with, Chris, is, and start off with, you point blank ask us, the commission, whether you could dress the front up, and we give him that permission.
Yes, that is correct.
And so that's what you're seeing in cost and stuff like that. So, Chris, I don't want to cut you short, because you did what you asked us fairly and squarely, and this is what it's come out as, and cost-wise and stuff. Also on windows, the only reason why that I could think of windows, Cody, was because we have a proven window over here for 12 years in the jail. And that's what we looked at, and that's what Chris has done, is looked at those windows and put them in this bid. So, yes, I mean, and so I want the commission, the rest of the commission to understand where we got some of our ideas and why some of the cost is up. And water heaters, that's good. Generator, that's another issue that we keep going up in size. And you heard 96. I missed the last meeting you guys had, and that's where 96 come in. And the last time I heard it was a 48. So, yes, if we go back to a standard 24 kW, I understand then we have to have a dedicated circuit for the freezers and a few things to run heat. But do we need to run the building for air conditioning and stuff? That's something the commission I would think would be, how far do you want to go with that? That would be something that I want to look at. But some of the other things through your deals here is the screw down standard roof. Is that standing seam? Is that for the whole building? We only save 5,000. Is that right, Cody?
Approximately. I think we could see more. Like I said, I really would I'd like to dive into this. You know, it's going to take me a week to 2 weeks to really put together some actual hard costs to this. And I'd like to have that opportunity, but I know we're still working on a timetable here to get started on this thing. I don't recommend the screw down roof. I just wanted to put it in front of you as an option. I don't think that's a good choice.
Well, that 5,000, from what I know of, it seems to be that this standing seam roof seems to be that much better for 5,000. What it seems to me. So
definitely the five. Even if you save $10,000 on a screw down roof, the value in the quality and protection from leaks that you have with a standing seam roof will pay for itself 10 times over down the road when the roof gets to a point where the screw down is not holding up,
right.
15, 20 years down the road, you're probably going to start seeing issues with that screw down roof where, gaskets on screws are failing,
right.
And you're going to get pinhole leaks through those.
Right.
And you're going to end up having to coat the roof or end up replacing it or going over it with something else.
Okay.
There's just a far better, superior product with a standing seam roof than a screw down. I really do not recommend that value engineering idea there. I just wanted to put it out there in front of you as an option.
Okay, county provide dumpsters. We just seen one of our departments having out at the other building that you worked at, providing the dumpsters, and just looked like
Yes, sir.
Looked like we can do that and handle that part of it. So I think
Yes, sir.
I think that if that worked out, you ought to know whether it worked out there or not for us providing that.
Yeah, it worked out great.
Well, that's a thanks to Josh and you too. So, but then the vestibule storefront, all the storefront, that was all in part of the package. Of what I think we charged Chris with was making it look for that. And now,
Sure.
And I don't expect the city of Marion to come back just because we changed the front. If I don't expect them to come back and say anything if we cut some of the fanciness off of it and make it, because right next door to us we have a very good looking building that's got a simple entryway. So if we're trying to come up with a good simple entryway, I think they would accept that. But that's some of the stuff too that I see, and I think it's very good that we do go have a meeting and throw things out. And we're over that 1.5, and I think that's our goal. So let's get back to that somehow, some way. I don't want to cut just like the roof. That to me is a pretty important factor, and I don't want to cut on the roof. Now I can cut other places, but I don't want to cut on the roof. So that's my 2 cents worth, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, like my metal building, I got 25 years before we had to go back and redo the top of it.
But you'd had to go back and redo it. You
Yeah.
might have got 50 with a standard
We did all
seam.
the-
Yeah.
The gaskets were leaking and
Yeah.
Now, that's an easy one, no question.
should have done it at 20,
At 20, yeah. Well, I think that's where we're at. I don't know what it's going to take you, Cody, but I'm all in favor of that.
But the windows, you know, I got Pella windows and they replaced them because they got hail damaged here a couple years ago. I mean, they got like a 30 or 40-year guarantee on the lifetime of them.
Okay. Yeah, so there is
And
other.
I think that's a good option to look at. We can provide a window that's gonna have the same profile or very similar profile and look from the outside. It's just put together a little bit differently.
I still think we're looking at a 30 to 40-year building or 50 to, we don't want too much maintenance in the next 30 or 40. So whatever comes up with good maintenance factor and don't fall apart. Some of the old wood windows 25, 30 years ago, that I built with, they fall apart in 10, 15 years. I mean, that just happens, so.
To repaint them.
Well, yeah, you got a lot to do with them, so. No, I appreciate going back. If nobody else has any other things like that, I will suggest, we'll talk about that later. Go ahead.
Dave?
Oh. On the, my 2 cents, I guess, is on the electrical, having very little involvement with this. All those VE options, to me, are a no-brainer. They're concealed, hidden. The VE light fixtures, you're still gonna get the same look at a glance, you know, without examining them. So I would say the electrical one is a no-brainer, just to go that route for sure.
I got a question. Explain VE to me.
Value engineer. Those are our savings.
Oh,
Valued
okay.
engineering. So that would be the
Yeah,
savings.
I should have wrote that out. That's kind of a common term in the commercial construction world when we're trying to save money is value engineering, VE.
Options.
All LED lighting, I mean, everything's gonna be LED.
I think
Yeah,
I would
pretty
say
much
anything
every
that's
light
VE
fixture's
still.
LED now.
Okay.
What's the conduit option? What was specified? MC?
Metal conduit versus, like a flexible metal conduit. There's just a lot less labor, and cost with the material involved.
So you're suggesting we go from
I'm just a little bit off on that. I don't think we're gonna see quite that much savings there, but we're definitely gonna see closer to $10,000 on the VE light fixtures. It's just a lot less, and you can correct me here, Jonah, if I'm wrong, but there's, going from MC to EMT is the material cost is less, as well as significantly less labor.
Yeah, so your EMT conduit is gonna be, and MC, they're not, the MC's not that much cheaper than the EMT and pulling the wire, but your labor is huge. So I wouldn't be surprised if your numbers aren't pretty close, if not conservative. There might be more savings on that.
But it's
Just
written
because,
back, isn't it? Going
yeah, it's
from
written backwards.
to
Yeah,
MC.
it needs to be
Oh,
EMT
that-
to
I-
there you
MC.
go.
I'm realizing
Yeah.
that as we talk about it, I've got that back.
Yeah.
That makes sense
That-
now.
Yeah, so it
So where it says
It is,
MC
it
to
is a
EMT,
substantial
it's
savings
EMT
and
to
it's
MC.
hidden, it's
Okay.
behind the walls, nobody's gonna see it.
From metal to plastic.
Yeah, it's going from rigid to flexible.
Going from
Oh,
silver,
right.
silver to blue.
No, not blue.
No, it's still all metal. It just goes from when they put in a rigid conduit, they've got to bend it and shape it and
Yeah.
make it fit in the walls and turn the corners and everything else. And with a flexible, it's, you just string it up like Romex.
Up and over and around.
Okay. Tina, Chip?
No, I guess my question is then what do we do to address the GMP that was submitted?
Right, right. That then brings us to that very question. We have the total GMP. We have some options for reducing the cost.
Everybody said that.
The question comes back to the commission. Are you confident enough that there will be savings to get to a number that we still have a consensus for the building, that we could go ahead and proceed with the order of the metal building, or do you want to wait till you get the numbers first?
We've also got grant money to consider that is out there. We just have to see how much we can get.
There's only
There's $50,000 that we can use towards, I have that right here in my pocket. $50,000 that we can use toward windows, paint, carpet, and that's already there. We know, we've already been granted it. Which this wouldn't go into the building. We have some other immunization, action plan, supplemental grant money from COVID that we have over $40,000 left in it. They can go toward exam room furniture. It can even go toward countertop or like your cabinetry in those rooms.
City of Marion got around $175,000 in grant money for the food bank here a couple of years ago. Gene Winkle said it's out there. He's going to give me a list of the people they got money from.
But those things are things to consider, but they're not a guaranteed deal.
what exactly number then you've got, what exactly number are we standing, we gotta cut from? This 1.682? Get back to
Yes.
5? We've got 180,000 we've gotta cut. Right. At least.
And you really can't order the building until we decide, are we going to let
Yeah,
it go going right?
With where we're at with the cost at the moment, I would not, I'm prepared to look at those prices at the moment, but I don't think that it would, it's necessary with the value engineering we need to go through to make this happen, that it's relevant to commit or decide on a supplier at the moment. Because when we go through this VE process, there may be one of the other suppliers that we wouldn't select that may have a better cost with the VE options. I would rather go through the value engineering process and decide what we do want to eliminate or change, and to then go back to all of the suppliers and have them reprice it and then make the choice.
So you recommend to delay a couple weeks?
Yes, I recommend a delay selection of the metal building supplier if we're going to go through the value engineering process.
Yeah.
What's the timeline? When can you be ready?
To do a thorough job, I feel like 2 weeks. Chris, what do you think? There's a little bit of work on your end that'll have to be done. How do you feel about that?
Well, the first step is to meet and pick the line item, value engineering items. Then from the design perspective, we'll have to extend our next deadline, depending on how many things and which things get changed, is going to take us more time to revise our drawings. So there'll be a extension there to get final drawings completed.
I'm going to cut to the chase a little more here. You got big items from, well, clear down to the 7,500 for, let's go clear down to there on this back list of VE options up. I'm more interested right now, and even though the insulation, the dumpsters are still more to come off, but from there up, I can come up with 100 and some thousand if we did some of that, or all of it. I guess what I'm getting at is I want to know whether everybody's okay with it. If I read off plastic laminate tops instead of quartz, who's going to complain? Flooring finishes, who's going to complain? Remove all masonry, that's 51,000. Synthetic masonry.
You can't take both of those. It's either one or the other.
Okay, one or the other. Okay, one or the other. That's what I need to mark on here. One or the other. That's what I needed to know. Lower walls, what do you got into above ceiling height? Is that where you're taking from metal
Yeah,
stuff?
so right now, we're priced going to the deck.
Okay,
We can lower all those walls and, put a sound blanket over the top of those walls to keep the sound down. That's the biggest
Okay.
reason for going to the deck with the walls, is sound control. So you're gonna lose a little bit of that with lowering the walls, but we can still mitigate a lot of that. But there's pretty good cost savings with lowering those walls, obviously.
So you're gonna have 8-foot ceilings instead of 9-foot ceilings?
Yeah, what height, Cody,
Now,
would you
that
lower?
doesn't change the ceiling height.
It just,
It changes the amount of drywall, basically, and
Above
metal
the-
studs that we are using to frame the walls.
above the ceilings.
Material.
Well, yeah, and time, I think, too. The vestibule storefront, I can understand where we could cut that off. The ACM panels, we've talked about that. And remove metal panel, install wall panel flashing trim, that's all on the vestibule or the front. Is that correct, Cody?
It's a combination of a lot of areas, mostly
And then the metal walls.
the
covered.
front facade.
Okay. And then remove TPO and install standard panel 2. That is, where's that at? Flashing trim. That's up front on the vestibule, or clear the front of the building?
Yeah, that is the awning. That
Okay.
applies directly to the awning.
Okay. Standard water heater, we've given a little bit of thought about that. I know I'm
There's very
hearing,
little that we need.
okay, we only got 2 spaces for
You
hot
just
water,
wash-
3.
Washing your hands and stuff, so you're doing it.
Either washing your hands or if you had to wash a dish or something.
Okay, so I think that's a definitely that we do that.
You could use a little,
I think that one's a very easy one to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Generator size,
It's fine.
I think we need to make the motion whether we're gonna, when the AC kicks off, I mean, when it kicks off in the summertime, and just take care of the freezers. Or if it's in the wintertime, we just take care of the heat in the freezers. I mean, that's our basics. And the 24-watt generator does that. But it's nice to have a building that kicks in the whole building too,
so
so.
people to keep working during the day.
Cody,
so-
Yes.
is all the heating natural gas? I mean, you're not running heating elements, right?
Right, it's gas fired.
Yeah, so yeah, your summertime loads might be the only thing that suffer by reducing the generator. That's it. I mean, I think you could handle the whole building.
Yeah, I'm
with the
gonna
exception
tell
of
you-
air conditioning.
Right, I think you'll be able to power most of the rest of the building with exception to the air conditioner. That's really the only thing you're not gonna be able to operate.
Well, I lost 20-some thousand up there where the masonry deal, I was taking both of them instead of just one of them, so I wanted more, but anyway. So, yeah, I think we can get down to that, but we need to wait and see. And just like I'd take Cody's advice there to see what we can go, but I think those are the big items if we're just trying to pick from this list. That's my feelings.
So we need to meet next week.
He won't be ready, so,
Well, no, Cody,
I'd like to meet ASAP.
okay.
we gotta give Cody
I'm
direction.
not, I'd really like to do it tomorrow, but unfortunately, tomorrow just doesn't really work, so
Okay.
first thing Monday morning,
I'm free Monday.
I'm available.
The 11th.
Chris, do you got some availability Monday morning?
I'm free after 10.
I have got one meeting here. What time is that at?
Are we meeting in person in one spot?
Yeah, I could meet any time Monday morning.
Yeah, if you want to meet in Marion, I'd need another hour to get up there.
We got
Yeah,
commission.
you wanna do mid-morning, like 10 a.m.?
We'd have to do 11 if we're gonna meet in Marion.
Okay.
We don't only have an hour then. because I got a commission meeting.
Cody, would it be okay with Chris being online? And then
I'm
the rest of us
okay with
meet in
that if he
person?
is.
Or Chris, do you think that there's value to having you here in person over?
No, I'm fine doing online, yeah.
That'd make it a lot easier for everybody.
10 o'clock, yeah.
So shoot for 10 o'clock Monday.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, Chris, will that work for you?
Yep,
All right. We'll have a committee meeting Monday morning at 10 o'clock. Randy Dalkey has his red pen all warmed up.
Oh, let me get that one out, yes. It's still here.
Been using yellow
I've
here.
been using yellow so far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tina?
Mr. Mueller, I wonder if we need a motion and a vote to delay acceptance of the GMP
Okay.
pending value engineering process.
Okay, I would make that motion.
I'd second
Tina
it.
ordered it.
I'd second it.
Okay, second by Commissioner Dalkey. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. We will delay until we get more information after the committee meets. Well, Cody, I appreciate you presenting us this list, a lot of good ideas where we can find some savings. And Chris, I appreciate your input and patience with us. As we get closer to moving forward on the public health building. Again, we want a good product, and you provided us with a really good design. We just need to do a little squeezing yet, and I think we'll get there.
Yep, I really feel good about there. That is the good thing that we have is we've got a really good list of some options to get there. So I feel pretty confident that we can get there.
And Chris, I want to make sure you stay vocal. If you have any concerns, your recommendations, we need to be very upfront and blunt with us.
yeah, understood.
Okay, anything else anyone has? If not, again, thank you for all your work, and the committee will be meeting Monday morning. Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dalkey, all in favor?
Supposed to talk about funding?
Okay. We'll back that off. What's your
Well, it's
question?
just listed here.
Sure, what's your question on funding?
Are we in a position to fund that 1.5?
Yes, we went over all those numbers a couple months ago.
So what you did a few months ago is you came up with about 1.2 of designated funding. And so there was some balance that you had not determined where the funding would come from. And I can have that for you for Monday, just ideas if you would like.
I just don't want there to be any shortfalls anywhere.
That's good. All right, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. We are adjourned. Thank you again, Chris. Thank you, Cody.
Thank you.
Bet. We'll see you Monday.